Hi, everybody. My name is Shana Conde, and I am the founder and creator of Heart to Arts. And today we have, I don't know if you can tell that there's like a pattern going on here, but today we have the creator of Tafari Wraps, DELMESHIA. Would you like, please promo yourself. Give us, how would you introduce yourself into a space?
Yeah, that's a great question and something that I'm working on. I'm Delmisha Haynes, the COO of Tafari Wraps. We are a lifestyle brand preserving Afro diasporic culture through home goods and hair accessories, such as what Shayna and I are adorned in today. I am in partnership with my mother, Faith Imani McFarland, who is our chief designer, master seamstress, and CEO. I'm on a journey to heal myself and heal my familial relationships, and I definitely do that through the art and fashion of head wrapping and really focusing on using African textiles bound by the couture techniques.
Okay, that was fantastic. And I'm going to take all my questions and put them to the side for a moment because now I have like in the moment questions. Oh my gosh, what an intro. I loved it. Okay, if you don't mind, I'm gonna ask some questions. When you say that you using the fashion industry and safari wraps as a means of healing familial bonds, could you
Mhm.
what does that mean exactly, if you don't mind?
Yeah, absolutely. So for my brothers and I, we grew up with my mother constantly at the Juki, right? That's an industrial sewing machine. So she had her studio in the attic at first, and then moved to a studio on Shaman Ave in Boston. Which, if you're familiar with Boston, that's a very affluent neighborhood and predominantly white neighborhood. However, it posed some challenges for myself to see my mother with such immense talent. She's designed for Miss Bermuda, Miss Universe pageants. Her goods have been on, runways in Lima and New York. However, we have not always seen the financial returns of it. So that definitely, as a young girl growing up, it pulls some resentment between myself and my mother and her passion and her talent, and the fashion industry. I just, as a child, just believed that it was just, racist. It must be because my mother is a Black female, because my mother is a Rastafari female, because my mother wraps her head in every space that she goes. Even when working in corporate America as a design consultant, her head was always wrapped. So I just, since childhood, have said, okay, the fashion industry it's racist, it's classist, it's all of these things that I don't stand for. But as I grew older, I realized that it is possible to find healing within this very same industry, depending on how you are using textiles, what textiles you are using, and who you're giving credit to. But more importantly, color is therapy, right? So if you are, and obviously this isn't everyone's experience, but a lot of folks I know who, and this is just an example, who mostly wear like Black clothing, or really dark colors. In my experience, these people tend to have a more like depressed energy and approach to life. It's almost this like whatever, blase kind of thing. Whereas those people I have met who like to wear like colorful and very like printed patterns, their outlook on life is 9 times out of 10, in my experience, so much more joyful, so much more upful, right? They have these passions that they're like, even if, today was challenging, I'm going to go for it tomorrow. So that's an element that within the fashion industry, as long as you are going for those textiles that can inspire and uplift, there is healing within that. So for me, that started at home, working with my mother and seeing the realities of the fashion industry, which, 2020 opened up so many conversations that many Black and Brown people and creatives, especially, we've been having. Like, these aren't new conversations. It's just the public is becoming more comfortable, and even still, they're not talking about these things.
Would you say that this is then the story of Tafari Wraps?
Yeah, the story of Tafari Wraps is definitely, it's intricate, Shayna. It is deep, it is long. My mother started designing when she was 16 years old. Her first job was actually at a factory across the street from our current studio. She was the youngest person there. She was a dressmaker, working alongside like Irish and the Russian, like older immigrant women. And they didn't understand, like, why are you here? Why aren't you in school? Right. And she's like, this is my school. So our journey really does date back and is very much my mother's story. And as her only daughter, it's typical for daughters to be the ones to tend mostly to their mothers, right? So this is a very personal experience for me. I think that, again, because of her talents, because of the spaces that she has and has not been able to navigate, and because of the response that I have seen people get from her artistry, right? She's a certified artist here in Boston because of her fashion. I want more people to have that feeling that I feel when I engage with her artistry. So yeah, the journey, it is part of the story of Tafari Wraps for sure.
Would you say that being in partnership, like having a business partnership, a creative business partnership with your mom has brought you to a deeper understanding of not only who she is as an artist, but just like who she is as a woman?
Oh my gosh. Oh my God. Absolutely. And it was so necessary, because when I tell you I had some really deep resentment and hurt, because I didn't understand what that meant to be an artist, right? We always hear a struggling artist. So as a kid, I'm like, I'm tired of having that be an identifier of my mother, because there's so much good and joy and passion and potential here. I don't want to associate the word struggle with anything I do, or, that she does, even though I see the challenges. But it wasn't spoken in our household. My mother is initially from Jamaica, so Caribbean parents in general are mostly, they don't talk to their children about, a lot. Like, it's very much, I'm the adult, I'm gonna do what I'm gonna do. You're the child, you experience what I put out there. But I think that's very detrimental to a young person, especially as they grow, because we don't get to understand the nuances of navigating adulthood, right? Something as simple as you go to work, you make a paycheck that could range between these prices, or this industry would get you X so that you could do Y, right? I had no concept of that. So to see my mother work so hard and not get that monetary reward, I just was like, yeah, artists and art is like, why would you want to do that? Like, why would anyone want to struggle? But now as an adult, and sitting with my mother in conversation and working with her daily, I get to see the resilience, like how resilient and how skillful she is. And again, just like the joy she brings to people on a daily basis. Like, there's a friend of hers who was by last night for hours. And every time she comes by, my mother, it's like, she tells that you're the older sister I never had. I used to see you with your kids when I was a teenager, and I would just always look at you like, wow, your stature, the way you compose yourself, your head wrap, right? There are all these little things. So to hear this woman say this about my mother, where when I was a kid, I didn't pay attention to that. I was just like, yeah, this is my mother, whatever. But to hear 20 odd years later, this woman's testimony about my mother when this woman was a teenager, I'm like, yeah, there's so much within her, right? And fashion and creating is a vehicle to express that for sure.
I love that. Something that struck me about what you said is almost like there's a constant feeling of a returning home. And I feel like adulthood is a lot of that, but also like, 2020 brought home a lot of that. And, like as a kid, we think that our parents, like whichever parent or guardian you have, is like superhero. It's like, oh, it doesn't get better than mom. And then you get older and it's like, ah, it's just my mom. And then all of a sudden you reach a certain point in adulthood and you realize, wait a minute, no, she really was that superhero. Like the full circle, the full circle.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I'm glad
Yeah.
the return home, that that's what I'm experiencing now. I'm, back in Boston after, well, I returned in April of last year, not because of COVID, but COVID really helped. Honestly, it helped my situation. It made my move very seamless. But yeah, this is my return home, and on so many levels, like the amount of work that I have been able to accomplish with Tafari Wraps, being closer to my mother than when I was, in New Jersey and in New York. I'm like, this is what I've needed to do. So I say thank you. Thank you to Spirit, and thank you to whatever allowed for COVID to happen, to really put certain things in place for my mother and I to continue to build our relationship and to continue to build Tafari Wraps.
So this now brings me to business questions. So you're saying that there's been a whole lot of growth that's been happening with Tafari Wraps. There's been a lot of stuff going on. Could you share some of the big things that have happened since you and your mom have gotten physically closer to be able to collaborate? What are some of the big things that are going down?
Yeah, absolutely. So I say one of the major things, like we had a couple of partnerships with a large tech company over the summertime, facilitating some workshops because, employers started to realize like, oh, I should care more about my employees, right? So they were offering these like sessions to, create art. So we came in and was able to facilitate a couple of art-based workshops. So that, because of the name, like, oh, I thought it was a spam email. I genuinely thought it was spam. So I was like, went on LinkedIn. I was like, Google this person. Let me figure out if this is real. So that's one. And from the monies earned, we went into manufacturing for the first time. So we manufactured our my mother just got in the car because we're on the road. So I'll just do that. So we yeah, hey mama, that's Shayna. She's in Makula.
Shayna.
Yeah.
Hi, nice to meet you.
So we went into manufacturing.
What did she say?
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you, Shayna.
We went into manufacturing and we manufactured masks. Let me backtrack actually. Because of COVID, in March, it was early March. So restaurants closed. Was it March 12th, I think? Como put out the notice. And the next week on our Instagram, I posted a picture of a mask and was like, mask available. In 1 month, she single-handedly made over 400 masks. And these are the pleated, like the detail insane, okay? Over 400 masks. We were able to collaborate with a designer in Jamaica. So we sent all the supplies necessary. They created the mask and made a huge donation to Kingston Public Hospital, to their cancer ward. So sorry. So that was a huge thing. But from that, yeah, we were able to go into manufacturing, which alleviated a lot of stress off of my mother's body. You know, she's 60 this year or next year. Like, you know, we're manufacturing. Like, wow, we've always dreamed about this, and it's actually happening. So yeah, those are a couple of things. And you know, currently we are crowdfunding so that we could, you know, manufacture even more and move into a more sustainable business, because it's not sustainable for one person to be the one doing the design and you know, we want to be able to reach more than the 20 people. And in order to do that, we need a team. So I think we're really moving in a closer direction to that.
Here's a question. What is your favorite piece that you guys have made so far? And what is the personality of that piece?
That is a challenging question. Um,
Or like a favorite piece.
wow.
And then if they were a person,
Yeah.
what would they be like in high school?
Oh God, high school. What a place.
Okay, maybe not.
Okay. No, I could do it. I'll go there with you. So for our head wraps, my favorite is Osiris. Osiris is, if you go online, the head wraps, it's modeled by this gorgeous gentleman with locks. And to me, it signifies a rebirth, a resurrection. In high school, I guess this would be that person who has always known who they were, has always had, you know, a sense of self, but they're in this crowd of confusion, right? They're surrounded by people and things that aren't really balanced and steady. But Osiris maintains that, like, I know who I am, and just moves through to get their shit done if I can. But yeah, for head wraps, that's definitely my favorite piece. But we just released some home goods, so cushions and our placemats and aprons. And from that, I would say my favorite piece is our half apron. Yeah, that is the jolly, bubbly girl who's just like half apron. Yeah, we have a half apron and we have bib aprons. Yeah. And that half apron is that, like, I am happy, I am love, let's do it. So yeah, that's my favorite from the home goods.
Oh, I love that. I hope that those two are friends. Okay. Can you talk a little bit about the cultural importance of head wraps?
In 2006, when Imani started this journey, it was on a healing mission. I mentioned she always wore head wraps, and when working as a design consultant, that was one of the things that her white coworkers and clientele of, you know, the South End or Wellesley would give her, you know, that racist side eye over, or even just verbally diarrhea out their mouths. So it became very important for her to, when she left that space, go on a journey to not just heal herself, but to heal the Black and Brown community here in Boston. So she started, you know, touring the YMCAs, local libraries, colleges, and hospitals, where we taught on the arts and the fashion. You know, whether it's folks, the Tuareg, you know, who wrap their head as a protective garment because of the windstorms, or whether it's a Rastafari who wrap their head for spiritual protection, or, you know, a spiritual Baptist who also wraps their head as a form of spiritual protection, you know, to connect to the gods, right? Or if you're an Orthodox Jewish woman and you wrap your head, you know, out of modesty, there are so many reasons why men and women and children, you know, for initiations, like you wrap your head, whether that's a white fabric or if you're wearing an indigo, right? There's so much meaning and intention depending on the culture. Um, so for us in America, you have during slavery, enslavement, women were given a kerchief as part of their work uniform, and that was a protective covering against the sun, but also a demarker to say that you are my worker, you are an enslaved person. Once enslavement was over, women started to be like, okay, yeah, I'm still wrapping my head, but I'm going to start using more elegant and luxurious fabrics. And I'm going to really explore the art of textile manipulation, right? And draping. So it became a fashion statement. And like a reclaiming of that practice. So yeah, it's a vast journey. There's so much beauty that can be found in it. And it's for everyone. It's not just for Black people. It's not just for Indigenous people. Literally everyone can protect themselves in this way.
And I think you really explore that, and not to explore, you really showcase that on your IG page. I was one of the models that you used back in the day. I have the concept of time, so I don't really know like how far that was. But like there's so many people. There's so many different types of people from different backgrounds, different skin tones, different hair textures, white, Black, like anybody and everybody.
See it as a bridge. It definitely is a bridge to connect cultures and to have that conversation. I worked with a young man at my last restaurant job who one day I came in, I don't know what head wrap I was wearing, but he was just like, I love when you wrap your head because you remind me of my aunties. And this is a indigenous, like Venezuelan, young man. And I was just like, thank you. Like that is so beautiful that I could bring you home in that way.
I want to bring us back to, you mentioned about people's relationship to color. And I think that that's really interesting, especially within like the melanated community. I know that a lot of highly melanated girls have been told at some point, listen, you gotta stay away from that red lipstick, you gotta stay away from that blue hair, you gotta stay away from that whatever. And so a lot of girls were it's like, okay, well, I got Black, I can do Black. And because, color is joyful and color does draw attention. And now I'm looking at like what fashion is doing, and I'm seeing so many like dark skinned girls and like yellow bikinis and like in their neons. And I'm like, yes. And it just, so to have all this color and to be able to like adorn yourself with it and your house with it, I think it's just so important.
I agree wholeheartedly. I love, oh my God, one of my favorite models, I forget, I think she's originally from Sudan, if I'm correct, and grew up in Australia. Gorgeous, like melanated sister. And anytime I see her in a piece that is like bright, bold, I'm like, yes, more, like more. We want to stand out. Like, we don't necessarily do it on this intention of, look at me, but we want to express our joy. And you should feel free to express your joy and to do that through color. I think those people who are like, oh, why are you wearing that bright XYZ? There's an unhappiness within that person that they need to check, that they should not put onto me, you, or any dark skin, light skin, whatever person. So if you find joy in wearing that neon green, in wearing those mismatched whatever, do it. That's what matters. Your joy, your happiness. Do it.
That is our invitation to you, whoever's beyond the camera. Do it. Embrace the color. It's yours. I'm trying every now and then to have like a direct into the camera moment. It's just like real hard to, it's hard to maintain. So,
You're doing great.
oh, thank you. It's been a while since I've done an interview. It's been a while. Like you're the first interview. You're my like reintroduction to doing more interviews because I had to take a little bit of mental health break because I think I told you it was just like back to back to back to back. But like we're doing this in the time where we can, and here we are. Would you mind sharing? Don't share the code, but like share with the people what you will be offering to the Heart to Arts listeners.
Oh, absolutely. We will be offering one of our pleated masks with your purchase. It is, again, when I say beautiful, like the textile choice is dynamic. We actually had these by our friends, which is a small family-run business in Brooklyn. So let's to keep it local. By supporting us, you are supporting them, you know. But yes, you'll be receiving a pleated mask, adjustable straps. This is an example that I had to take off for the meeting. This is Bee's Knees. We have our cute little logo here. Just the sweetest. So no matter your face size, your head size, it will fit you. You could definitely find us on Instagram. That's at Tafari Wraps. So like Safari, but with a T and Tafari. We are crowdfunding again to raise $20,000 so we can go into full manufacturing on our aprons, head wraps, placemats, like you name it. There's so much beauty in the pipeline. We just need the support of our community to make that happen. And you receive 20% on your contribution to shop site-wide. So that's another gift. That is another gift.
Yeah. All of her information will be above and also in the description. So follow them on all their social media platforms. And also you're certain, like, this is so comfortable. This is so comfortable. It's so versatile. Like there's so many ways to, oh no, it's coming out. Don't look at it. There we go. We're back.
And it's funny. Armani's wearing.
Mom, we're twinsies.
Yes, we are.
That was not planned. That could not. Yeah,
it's just one of my favorites.
It's one of her favorites.
Oh, yay. See, and like I got this from your shoot also. So like, it's like I'm there. It's like I'm there with you in a way, and like not.
You are, and you see, like your hair is so much different than hers. Like she has locks that went down, are at her ankle, and she's still able to wear it. You know, so very versatile.
Yeah, I was actually thinking about doing a giant bow today, but I was like, no, I think we're gonna do this. We're gonna do this right.
Yeah. Rap with spirit, girl. Exactly. Whatever comes out, like follow it. Yeah.
That's all it is. And now my final question to you. Other than work, what is something that you are putting your heart into?
Girl, I'm putting my heart into my health, and that is both physical, spiritual, mental, and financial. We all know college ain't cheap, and when you have those debts, it can cause serious strain on your psyche and your body, right? You work and you're like, I have to pay this thing off. So I'm really trying to find balance between it all. I love Tafari Wraps. Like I will work until 3 a.m. and as I've been doing the past 3 weeks. But I also know that I need to find that time to eat properly, which for me is a plant-based diet, which is, not consuming certain toxins so that my mind is clear and I could really process my thoughts, right? So health it really is wealth. You pay for it now or you pay for it later when you get them doctor bills and all them pills, okay?
Like I take pretty good care of myself, but let me tell my mother is the fastest 54-year-old on the planet. Like she is so spry. She runs like she's a long distance like runner, right? And she'll just go from my town. My
Ooh.
grandma lives like 2 towns over. My mom would just be like, oh, I'll be back in a couple hours. And then she'll just be at grandma's. She'll just run to grandma's. And I'm like, okay, bye. Now my knees don't allow me to do that. Full disclosure.
I looked at my mother, I'm like, like, why are you still awake? But not just why are you awake? Where did you find that energy? Like, how is it happening that you are doing errand and this errand and that errand, and you come back and you're doing this and you're doing that? Like, I'm tired just reciting the things you had to do, but they have this thing in them. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's that generation. I don't know. Something was in the water.
All right. Drive safe. I hope you guys have a super fun day. And yeah, I'll be in touch. All right.
Yes, please do. Stay in touch.
Absolutely.
Love you.
All right. I appreciate you so deeply. Okay. I'll talk to you soon.